Lobster dreams. Do you have them? If so, today's video is a must-see. Now, supposedly the over-the-top Vegas buffet is a thing of the past, but not so. Where else can you find all the lobster you can eat? Picture this: unlimited whole Maine lobster and lobster tails piled high, and still more seafood than you can imagine. It's one of the city's most iconic all-you-can-eat experiences, and proof the over-the-top buffet isn't extinct. So here's the real question. It's 2025, a year since our last review of this buffet. Is it still worth lining up for, or has time caught up with it? Welcome to Let's Eat Vegas, your guide to the good, the bad, and the delicious. I'm an award-winning chef, and you can bank on my culinary opinions. We're heading to the Palms Casino and Resort for their all-you-can-eat lobster buffet, available every Wednesday and Thursday starting at 3 p.m. and priced at what I call 2025 reasonable at $79.99. Reservations are strongly suggested. This is not the kind of buffet you just wander into. So if you're like me, the type of person who easily slips into lobster daydreams, seeing them at every turn, well, we better get started. I always find myself starting with shrimp cocktail. Now, the shrimp here tonight, a little smaller than they used to be. Sadly, the giant prawns of yesteryear are gone. But these are still fresh tasting, briny, firm, and sweet. At least they're not those sad little peel and eat shrimp the size of a pencil eraser. You know the ones. All that work for a bite about the size of a Tic Tac. The cocktail sauce, spot on. Tangy, a little sweet, with a nice horseradish kick that wakes up your taste buds. If you're like me, this makes for a good warm-up round before heading into battle. Now you might be asking, who comes to a lobster buffet for salad? Well, fair point. But once upon a time, the salads were worth grabbing. I used to be obsessed with a strawberry apple salad. Bright, fresh, and full of flavor. But that version has been laid to rest. What we have now is its pale, soggy ghost. Kind of like zombie movies, still moving around among the living, but no soul in sight. And the Caesar? Also a tragedy. It may have just hit the buffet line, but it tastes like it spent the last few hours hiding in a prep tray in the back. Wilted romaine, limp croutons, and a dressing that forgot the anchovy. It's bland, it's tired, and in my opinion, not worth sacrificing a single calorie. While not linked to the Caesar of Rome, this salad does remind me of that Caesar's tragic demise. I know at a lobster buffet, the lobster is the star of the show. So the barbecue, which is good enough to star in its own right, well, at this buffet, it has to play second fiddle, or maybe play the understudy. Well, anyway, the brisket is particularly good. This fatty, smoky beauty sports a gorgeous bark and an even better bite. As I always say, where there's fat, there's flavor. And this brisket proves it in every tender, glistening slice. No dry bits, no regrets. The Palms Buffet keeps it simple with two sauces, a tangy Carolina mustard and a classic red. But honestly, this brisket doesn't need much dressing up. It's packed with rich, meaty umami that borders on obscene, practically melts in your mouth, and leaves you wondering how something this decadent made it to an all-you-can-eat buffet line. And the pork butt? Surprisingly solid. It may look a little dry at first glance, but one bite in and it redeems itself, especially if you hit it with a splash of that Carolina sauce. Suddenly you're in full-on barbecue bliss. While it's true, you can find better dedicated barbecue spots in Vegas. Check out our video on the topic in the description below. Since you're here now, don't skip this section. It's a smoky, saucy flavor sensation, and it's well worth the plate and stomach space. Let's start with a childhood confession. When I was a kid, I used to fantasize about peeling off the entire marshmallow layer from the sweet potatoes and eating it like a dessert. Some dreams never die. These sweet potatoes bring back that nostalgia in the best way. Creamy, sweet, and just like Mom used to make. But honestly, that gooey marshmallow topping, it's still the highlight. The baked beans, though, aren't what they used to be. They've taken on more of a Mexican twist with the casino's new owners, and I miss the old Boston-style beans they used to serve. Those had depth, molasses, and soul. These, just okay, not bad, but not worth the calories either. But let me tell you about the cornbread. Now that's something worth writing home about. It's the sweet, cakey kind, light and fluffy, and it instantly reminded me of the ones I used to bake at my restaurant. I sold them for 25 cents a piece back then, practically giving them away. I'll never forget the time someone ordered 200 of them for a party. And that was chaos in muffin tins. These are served in neat little loaves, and if I didn't have so much more food to sample, I could easily make a meal out of them. I see a lot of YouTubers who mistakenly think there's prime rib at this buffet, but you won't find prime rib on all-you-can-eat lobster night. But don't let that stop you, because the sirloin of beef here is not to be missed. They used to boast about serving prime grade, but I don't believe that's the case anymore. Still, what they do offer is wonderfully tender, juicy, and loaded with rich, savory flavor. Sure, you came for the AYCE lobster, but don't skip the meat station. It's got a bark crusted with garlic, salt, and cracked black pepper that's just about perfect. The au jus, drinkably good. I like my beef rare, and that's how it's served here. If you prefer your meat more well done, you may need to wait until a more cooked slab comes along. When the person next to me asked if they could have theirs put on the grill, the carver flatly refused, politely, and then said they don't do that. Now let's talk turkey. They also serve sliced turkey with gravy, and it's decent enough, especially if you grab a roasted jalapeno to go with it. Slice off a bit and add it to your bite of protein. You'll thank me. The grilled pineapple sounded good, but it needed more char to really shine. I think that's a pass. All in all, for a carving station on lobster night, it's a very good option. Another great option is to subscribe to our channel. But if you can believe it, according to YouTube, 80% of you watching right now are not subscribed. What? Subscribing is free, helps us grow, and to bring you more reviews. And if you find value in our reviews, consider making a small donation using the link to buy me a coffee in the description area below. We'd greatly appreciate it. Okay, enough of the delayed gratification. Time for the star of the show, the lobster. For just under $80, you get unlimited Maine lobsters and lobster tails. Yes, unlimited. They go through over 8,000 lobsters each night. It's a crustacean utopia. Except, of course, if you're the crustacean. These are Maine-style lobsters, imported frozen from Canada. And yes, Maine refers to the species, not the state. They're caught fresh, flash frozen, and once they arrive in Vegas, they're boiled in piping hot water.
Come on, girls. Everyone's a jacuzzi. Last one in's a rotten egg.
Now, here's the rule. You're allowed one whole lobster and one tail at a time. But here's the pro tip. There are 2 separate lobster stations. So if you start with 2 plates, well, let's just say you're doubling your deliciousness. Go to the first station, load up, and head right over to the second station. These lobsters look the part. Big, bright red, ready for their close-ups. But how do they taste? I'm using the spicy butter today. It's labeled spicy, but don't worry, it's more of a suggestion than a threat. You won't be sweating in pain. There's also a classic drawn butter option if you want to keep it old school. The whole lobsters pop out of the shell pretty easily. Having spent some time in coastline New England, I can tell you they're not anything like you'd find there fresh off the boat. So fair warning, if you're used to great fresh lobster, you might not be a fan of these. But if you're looking to wolf down as many lobsters as you can, well, this is your spot. Personally, I skip the claws and head straight for the tails. Speaking of which, I actually prefer the lobster tails over the whole lobsters. They're noticeably sweeter, and while still nowhere near New England quality, they'll definitely scratch that lobster itch. Best part, they're effortless to eat. Just pull the tail right out of the shell and dunk it into warm butter. At this buffet, I feel it's more about quantity than quality. And when it comes to lobster, sometimes that's all you need. If you are, however, seeking better lobster, then check out our lobster playlist. There are some truly terrific options there. So let's be clear. The lobster mac and cheese is simply mac and cheese. I could find no actual lobster in this dish at all. It's creamy and comforting, but it's your basic buffet mac. Not bad, but not worth the stomach space when there's real lobster on the line. The green bean casserole tastes exactly like the one from every holiday table in America. I'm almost sure this version traces back to that famous Kraft recipe from the 1950s. If you grew up with it, this will hit that nostalgic sweet spot. Let me know in the comments if this brought back Thanksgiving memories for you as well. But the real winner? The mashed potatoes. Creamy, buttery, and rich, with the skins left on just the way I like. No garlic, no gimmicks, just classic comfort food done right. That fresh-made beef gravy on top makes them irresistible. I actually saw a guy walk by with a plate stacked high just with mashed potatoes. That's when you know you're doing something right. Well, you'd think the burnt ends would be in the barbecue section, but strangely, no. They've been exiled to their own little corner, as though they're on double secret probation. Well, it certainly isn't due to the lack of flavor. They're tasty, smoky, tender, and full of savory depth. But if you came to Vegas on a burnt end pilgrimage, there are way better altars to worship on around town. Now, let's talk about the pot stickers. These little guys look to me like they've lived a few lives already, slightly beat up and clearly not made fresh for today's buffet. I think they've seen a few steam trays in their time. That said, they taste shockingly good. The filling is homemade, juicy pork, woodier mushrooms, and a hint of garlic that brings it all together. Unattractive? Yes. Delicious? Yes. But no sauce to dip them in. And then there's the fried rice. Flavorful, slightly oily, and I think engineered to fill you up before you hit the lobster trays. It's a classic buffet tactic, but at least they're doing it well. This isn't sad scoop and dump rice. It's got actual flavor. The poke is nice, fresh, light, and just a hint of spice. I love the green onions as well. This dish is the equal of this description's brevity. Okay, I know, we're all told to skip the bread and pizza at buffets. It's just filler, right? Just there for the kids and carb loaders. But once upon a time, this stuff used to be quite good, making it a little more difficult to walk past. Sadly, those days are gone. The pizza now, I found it strictly average with sauce that tastes as though it came straight from a can. And the crust is fine, not terrible, but it's nothing I was dreaming about later. As for the garlic bread, serviceable, but I found it somewhat forgettable. Honestly, if you're trying to get the most for your dollar, do yourself a favor and skip this section. Save the space for something that still brings the wow. Back when this buffet first opened, the dim sum was shockingly good, comparable to some of the best dim sum houses in Vegas. The Asian section used to be a standout. But those days are long gone. Now it tastes to me as though it's all pre-made and frozen, mass-produced in some soulless factory. The hargao still tastes okay, but to me, I felt there's no way they made it in-house. No dipping sauce anywhere in the line either, so you're flying solo. They'll do in a pinch if you're craving something different though. But the shumai? A total betrayal. A slap in the face to every Asian auntie who ever made dumplings with love. I found the flavor to be way off, like something gone sour. The shrimp reminded me more of a bait bucket than a banquet tray. I genuinely miss when this place took pride in its Asian offerings. It used to be fantastic. Served warm, these crab legs are phenomenal. Dare I say, even better than the lobster. They're good-sized snow crab legs, not split like you'll find in some buffets, but they crack open easily and release the meat with almost no effort. That's usually a good sign they haven't been sitting in a freezer for too long. Now, let's be real. None of the seafood here has escaped the icy grip of the freezer, but this is about as close to fresh as you'll find at any ACE buffet in Vegas. The meat is sweet, buttery, and briny, with that ocean-kissed flavor we crab leg aficionados live for. Dip them in melted butter and you're in crab heaven. I've choked down my fair share of awful crab legs at other buffets, the kind that cling to their shells like they suffer from separation anxiety. But not here. If you're craving crab legs that want to be eaten, this buffet has you covered. At long last, we arrive at the land of sugar, cream, and crushed dreams. This buffet used to be a sweet tooth playground. Now, I find it more of a memory lane filled with potholes. Let's start with the lemon meringue bite. No toasted top, sadly, but the flavor is spot on. A raspberry layer underneath is a welcome surprise. It adds a tangy twist that keeps things interesting. And the white chocolate garnish? It's like an edible postage stamp. Cute, even if it's just a decorative flair. Now onto the mango mousse bite. Once one of my favorites. But today, someone had the bright idea to mix mango with a weak, uninspired milk chocolate mousse. No thank you. To me, this combo is about as awkward and jarring as blueberries on pasta. The strawberry cheesecake looks the same as it used to be, but looks do deceive. I found the cheese layer to be bland, and that vivid red gel, I suspect pure red dye number 2 with no actual strawberry flavor in sight. One bite, and I felt like I was eating a chemistry experiment. The creme brulee is a heartbreaker. This used to be one of the best brulees in town, but I feel they've switched recipes. It's lost its soul. The top should shatter like stained glass. Instead, it's soft, dull, and the custard underneath, I found it eggy and flat. I swear it's like someone handed over the recipe, but left out a key ingredient. My mom used to do this on purpose, so no one could make her dishes as well as she did. I remember people saying, "Rose, I made it just the way you said, but it just didn't taste as good as yours." Now those little caramel-filled chocolate-dipped cones. Still fantastic. Creamy, crunchy, and sweet with just the right balance. I could eat 100 of them. But holy cannoli, what happened here? To me, the shells appear to be pre-made, and the ricotta filling, I found it more like lemon pudding than cannoli cream. It's overly tart, and for my Italian palate, that's a crime against pastry. There's a tiny cheesecake bite that's trying to impress, but honestly, I have no idea what it's supposed to be. I found it tastes like confusion. As for the muffins, given the amount of chocolate I'm picking up, I'd say the recipe called for someone only to whisper the word cocoa somewhat near the batter. And the blueberry one reminded me of a Yule Gibbons dish. Somehow he made things taste healthy in the worst possible way. I found it dry and bland, not worth the carbs. I used to rave about the desserts here. They were amazing. Now, I found them more an afterthought. Now for what I feel should be called the frozen disappointments. Things got off immediately on the wrong foot due to the language barrier at the ice cream counter. The server described the flavors incorrectly. But don't worry, after tasting them all, I've sorted it out. The lemon ricotta flavor? Yep, tastes like lemon ricotta. But I found it flat, with no depth, no zing, just meh. To me, it's the ice cream equivalent of elevator music. Then comes the cookies and cream. Oh boy, if you're a real ice cream lover, skip this, head over to the Wicked Spoon instead. They make their ice cream from scratch, and you can taste the difference. Check out our video on that one, seriously. Now for the saving grace, the ube. This one actually delivers. Buttery, dense, loaded with that nutty sweet ube flavor. If they'd served only this, I'd walk away happy. And the last mystery flavor? I have no idea what it is, and I still don't. As for the ice creams as a whole, I feel the quality has dropped across the board. This section used to shine. Now it just sits there, melting away into mediocrity. And finally, we finished with a few odds and ends in search of something that was a hidden dessert sleeper. Well, this is delicious. Who doesn't love gooey chocolate? It's rich in all the right ways. But if you ask me, there's still no heart and soul. It's cake mix good, but not upscale buffet good. And certainly not of the quality I was expecting. It's like your friend would make from the back of a cake box mix recipe to bring to the office potluck Christmas party. The red velvet cupcake was okay. Good real cream cheese icing and moist cake, but far from the best I've ever had. I found the chocolate cupcake to be terrible, dry and tasteless. And then the Dole Whip. It was good, but seriously, I didn't come here to get Dole Whip. It's great if you're a kid stopping by at a 7-Eleven on a hot day, but not worth it here at the Palm Buffet. I was hoping for someone to let loose in the creativity department and make a Dole Whip creation you hadn't ever seen before and wouldn't soon forget. But no. I expected so much more from the desserts at this buffet than it delivered. So, is the Palm AYCE Lobster Buffet still worth it? Well, if you're here for quantity, you'll walk out full and smiling, butter drunk and lobster satisfied. The crab legs shine. The brisket is a sleeper hit. And the mashed potatoes, so good they should be illegal. But if you're chasing culinary excellence, I feel this buffet's glory days might be behind it. The dim sum feels like it came from a vending machine at a bus station, and the dessert section, once legendary, now feels like a sugar-coated identity crisis. Still, there's something about eating a plate piled high with lobster tails that makes you feel like you've won at least one jackpot in Vegas. So here's my advice. Come hungry, come curious, and come with realistic expectations. It's not the buffet it once was, but it's still a buffet that lets you indulge like a high roller for just under $80. Don't forget to like, comment, and tell me how many lobsters do you think you could eat in one sitting? Let me know in the comments below. Well, we'll be back to the AYCE Lobster Buffet, maybe not that soon, but when we do, maybe you'll see us there. And don't forget to tell them, Let's Eat Vegas sent you. This would be a good time to hit the notifications bell so you get a reminder when the next review becomes available. And of course, it's always a good time to like, subscribe, comment, or share. It's free to do so, and it helps us to grow and to bring you more reviews.
Until we eat again, bon appetit.